Hello and welcome to the video lecture on the introduction and objectives of Chapter 5. So here is where we get into the physical database design and topics associated with performance, as far as how do we get this data out of this database quickly and efficiently. Up until this point, right, we started off, Chapter 1, what is a database? Went through Chapter 2 with the software development lifecycle and how projects move along. And then in Chapter 3 and Chapter 4, we started talking about more involved design techniques, as far as ERDs, the extended ERD, and then finally the relational model. As far as your project is concerned, so far in this, we've probably already gotten up to the create table statement. We've gone through all that stuff. So now, up until that point, in reality, we would have been paying designers and consultants. So we would have been paying salaries. When we get to Chapter 5 and we start talking about physical database design, this is when we start talking about capital investment. Right, so now we're going to start talking about, what kind of server do we need? When we get there, when you're talking about physical database design, the topics associated with this chapter will lead to decisions such as what kind of server to buy, how much RAM do we need, what kind of processors and how many processors do we need, what are the access, what kind of access needs are there? Does this have to be open to the internet? Things along those lines is when we start talking about physical database design. So when we talk about the objectives, we're going to talk about some terms. Obviously, there are going to be some new terms associated with physical database design. We're going to talk about the design process, what goes on in the design process. We're going to talk about storage formats for attributes. So that's data types, sizes, and other ways of storing attributes. And then we're going to talk about file organizations. We're going to talk about 3 different types of file organizations, and depending on the kind of data we are storing, that will directly affect the type of files we are going to use to store that data. We're going to talk about indexes. Indexes get into, we start talking about indexes. Indexes start affecting performance. How quickly can we get data out? And conversely, how indexes affect the input of data. We are going to translate the database model into what are known as efficient structures. So when we talk about physical database design, we're talking about efficiency and performance primarily. Those are the two, and then of course cost. So those are the 2 things that are struggling against one another, speed and cost. And then we had the topic associated with normalization in Chapter 4, how to break entities down to avoid anomalies, data anomalies. Now, due to performance issues, we're going to talk about the reverse, how to denormalize, how and when to use denormalization, which is a very important topic. So we are going to discuss that as well at the end of the chapter. And that is the end of the intro and objectives.